All right. Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Michael Hall. I will be hosting today's Innovation Coffee because Robert and Gabe are currently both traveling for two different events. So please bear with me as this is my first time. Let me first go through the intro. So hello, welcome to Innovation Coffee, brought to you by ARM, where the coffee is hot and the innovation is hotter. My name is Michael Hall, and I'll be your host this week as we take a deeper look at the ARM developer ecosystem and explore the many things going on in and around this exciting space. Each of these live streams will start with developer updates, followed by an in-depth conversation about ARM and our growing developer ecosystem, joined by featured ARM experts and partners from within the ARM and developer communities. We'll discuss a plethora of topics tailored to developers, showcase opportunities, explore resources, and bring new and exciting ARM developments to light. Each of these events will finish off with audience Q&A. Of course, if you have any questions, please be sure to post them in the YouTube chat, and we'll address them as soon as possible. Usually Gabe does this, so I will do my best to figure out how all of that works. If we don't get to your questions, then please join our Discord and ask them there. I know how to use Discord. And just as a reminder, if you enjoy this broadcast, make sure to smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe to the ARM Software Developer YouTube channel for more content like this. Usually here we would do a recap of the previous episode, which was Robert and Gabe talking to a couple of folks from Linaro about Linaro Connect. If you do want to see that, let me post the YouTube link to that if you missed it and you want to catch up. There were some really good presentations on... there was one really interesting one about Rust that I really enjoyed. So let me add that. Working right.
Oh no, is it only the guest is here? We might have had Michael frozen. Oh, we'll give it a moment. If not, I'll just see if I can take over. Wow, it might be really just me. All right. Hey, if you're on the YouTube, can you just say whether or not you can actually see me?
Sorry about that, everybody. I don't know what happened. I just got kicked completely out of StreamYard. So I did tell you this is my first time doing this. I'm not sure what I did wrong there, but I'm back now. So
yeah, I was just going to take over. So
oh yeah, it can be good, Joe. That's okay by me. So let's see. I was talking about last week's Innovation Coffee about Linaro Connect. Right down here is the URL for that if you want to watch that and catch up on it. But today I have with me Aaron Williams from the Ampere Computing Community. Aaron, why don't you give a little introduction about yourself and some background about you?
Yeah, my name is Aaron Williams. I lead the community for the ARM64 Ampere, kind of on the server side for developer community. I'm with the DevRel team. Before this position, I worked at a couple, ASF projects, doing similar roles. Also worked at the Linux Foundation, actually where I met you, obviously. Um, and worked on LF Edge with the 9 projects that were there. I think there actually are 10 now within that group.
It was 4 when I left, so it's grown quite a bit.
Yeah, it really has, and it's kind of that type of thing. I really came from the IoT world. Before that, I ran SAP's Makerspace, their global program there. Around the world. So I have a lot of and did a lot of work within IoT at SAP. So I came from, these very limited devices, and now I'm working at the extreme edge, or the extreme opposite end of this, where massive 120 core chips that, run, some of the most powerful servers out there. And, when you're used to talking in kilobytes, and now you have to use Tera and Peta and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I come back. I come in. I'm a software engineer by training, and just love connecting people and helping them out get started, and then to show off what they do. And that's kind of what we do within the Ampere community.
So how old is Ampere now? Like, could you tell us how the company got started?
Yeah, it's 5 years old. We just had our 5th year birthday. I think about 2 months ago. We all got nice little nice jackets for it. It was kind of so internally, so it's really cool. Nice. And what it started off with is a group of people really saw kind of the way servers were running and wanted to do something different. Seeing, you have x86 machines that, are what, 40 years old, older than that. And just we're not really performing and doing the things that we need going forward, and took the opportunity to build out a company. So in those 5 years, we've grown to basically the point that we're in every single of the public clouds out there. Except for Amazon. Amazon did build their own ARch64 chips, but everybody else, we're there, and we're the servers for it. And so it's quite amazing to see, this company that, when I was at LF, I worked with and did some stuff with, and helping set up some sites for the for the open source community there to test their systems, get things up and running, and then a couple of years later I'm actually working for that company. So quite a lot of growth here, and still expanding and getting ready for 2023, where people are now, we had to spend a lot of time telling people that ARM servers are out there. And now that message is getting out there, and they're exploring it and realizing, just how fantastic they are and how well they work.
It really is a bit of a new space, isn't it? Like, people think ARM, they think phones, or they think IoT devices like we worked on at LF, but thinking about it as a server CPU, like a really beefy, really powerful CPU, is kind of a new space, isn't it?
It is. And it's a little also strange, because for most people, most developers especially, I mean, if you're writing software, you're worrying about at most maybe what what version of Linux is there, or we're running on Windows or Macs, or whatever that operating system is. You don't really worry about the architecture under there. It's hidden enough. So it doesn't even dawn on you to make a decision there. You just choose whatever the default is on the cloud provider that you're using. So yeah, with Ampere, there is now actually a choice. If you dug into most of these machines, you can choose an AMD or an Intel chip, but you didn't look at that far down the page. You just chose it. You worried about the operating system, and that was as low as you got.
You care about the operating system, you care about how much memory you're going to get, and generally you want to know like how many CPU cores you want, but you don't typically check which kind, like what the manufacturer is. But you did mention at the start, you said something about like you threw out a number of cores just as kind of an example. Can you tell us a little bit more about what like give us some of the specs of some of the Ampere chips and what they do.
Well, the two ones that we have, our current ones are the the Ampere Ultra and the Ultra Max. These are the Ultra, I believe, has 80, and then the Ultra Max has 128 cores. And I think we actually lost Michael again.
No, I'm still here. It's just changing
the
lane.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh no, we lost him. Yeah, and so I mean, you'd have to go on the specs. They blow my mind of how big they are. But for the main part is is the cores. That is, how fast or how many CPUs, well, it used to be CPUs, in their process, just truly processing units, and how fast you can get through, or how many they are and what the speed is. What is kind of different about us is that they all are single threaded. So most, because a lot of the times on the Intel and the AMD chips, they would, they would sit. And so thus they came up with, the virtual CPU. And this is to do time sharing on that. But with ours, we can get more CPUs on there if we don't do that virtualization. So what that means is it gives you a very fast and predictable throughput. You're not necessarily, if nobody else is using, the other virtual CPU, then great. Your process goes through nice and fast, the same as it would on an Ampere chip. But once something starts getting used and somebody's doing a big read or write, and you have to sit there and wait, then you're sitting there waiting. This goes back to, if you're a software engineer, this is back, makes you go back to your engineering classes back in university, where you're doing the time slicing and whatnot and waiting for things to come through. But, on our chips, you don't do that. You get the whole core, you get to process that or use that as, as a great way to, speed up your thing. And more importantly, really, it gives you a very predictable throughput.
So that kind of segs right into some of our questions. So we'll go right into those. My first one was, what are some of the use cases or workloads that you see being used on your chips, and how might those differ from the approach somebody would take on like an Intel chip?
Yeah, you're right. It perfectly ties into that, because it's with the single threaded cores. This is what it prevents are these noisy neighbor things, and this allows you to run cloud native. I'm sorry, actually, let me start that again. Really, what we focus on is cloud native workloads, and that, while that being just a buzzword, what it really means is 5-10 years ago, we did things like massive web applications that were on the web. Now, in the time of microservices, it's really hit the cloud, do your work and get out as fast as possible. And that, since we were able to re-architect this, and we're not dealing with 40-year-old legacy architecture, it allowed us to really focus in on that. And so therefore, that's probably one of the best things for Ampere, is that cloud native microservices, get in, get out, and do that very quickly. And that turns out to be what we're it's a general purpose cloud server. So just about 90% or more that most people use it for. Our chips just outperform because of that.
So this was a key thing that I noticed when I was at DevNexus a couple weeks ago, was this shift where, enterprise Java stuff used to be, you bought a big expensive server with a big powerful CPU, and all of that was dedicated to your big monolithic Java application. Right. And a lot of the optimizations that went into Java at the time were based around this assumption that you had this big beefy server with a lot of CPU and a lot of RAM, and you could burn through that for faster processing. But now that's not the case. Now you're not looking at spinning up giant nodes for the most part. Like you want small nodes for all of your microservices, and you just throw more microservices at the task instead of just increasing the hardware. And so there's been kind of a mental shift in the Java community since I was a part of that, away from, the monolithic model on big hardware and down to this, you got to be small and fast. Startup times are important. So being able to have split 128 core CPU out to 32 different virtual machines is now the use case that people care about. And so having all of those cores available really kind of plays into that cloud native workload a lot better, doesn't it?
Yeah, it very much does. And that's really kind of a perfect example. I mean, I understand. I grew up in that way too. So it just means we're old now. But with that kind of architectural shift to these microservices, what it means is just that you get the whole core, on an Ampere chip, and that allows you just to really control what goes through there, and more importantly, is that predictability. That you're not, over 1,000 test cases, you get this percent. Instead, on an Ampere, you always get this performance. So there's no bursts, there's no, suddenly or lags and problems with that. So it allows you to architecture what you need and give you that predictability around that. And it just allows,
more cores is always better.
Yeah, I just saw that, so I got a little. Yeah, and the thing is that Intel and AMD have tried to handle this with the virtual CPUs, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a good solution. You don't want cores just sitting around doing nothing, but when you have something just sitting there and you're waiting on a read or write, or doing some large calculation, or it wasn't quite optimized correctly, that other a process that's waiting on the other part of that a virtual CPU, you have if nobody else is using it, it's fast. If somebody else is using it, it's going to be slower, and you can't predict that. It's the nature of the beast,
Exactly,
because you just don't know who's next to you. And there's actually some security now in there, because you're using the same physical hardware down at that CPU level. So there have been attacks and things like that where people have tried to exploit that, and which means then you have to put in more hardware to safeguard that, and thus you end up with a bigger machine and
mm-hmm.
and things like that, where you get the core, it's yours for as long as you use it. So therefore you can get in, get out, and then move on to your next process. But it is really that mind shift. I mean, that's the amazing part when people are really talking about these microservices, because you're no longer uploading something and running everything. You're pulling from multiple places. It can be in multiple regions, as we all know. I mean, KubeCon is going on right now, right? KubeCon Europe.
Yeah.
And it's a massive of all of this had to do. And this is all within the last 10 years. I mean, this is probably the biggest shift, in my career of that mental architecture and the software architecture that's needed for it. And now, you have the physical hardware that is catching up to that and changing.
Yeah, it's been interesting. You and I in our career have seen things go from like I was saying, those monolithic giant servers out to, scale out instead of scale up is the terminology. And we've kind of had to make that career shift in our thinking. Whereas like the next generation of programmers, they're coming in cloud native from the start.
Yep. And then after that, we'll have quantum in the next 10 years. So
yeah, I'm not
there's
sure
always something to learn in this generation.
May have to figure out how to retire before that takes over.
Yep. But that will be for the next generation, and that's how they'll know. Oh, we did microservices. Yeah. But then again, I have parents who worked on punch cards. So both my parents are programmers. So are now retired, so I get to hear stories of that, and
Neither of my parents were in tech, so anytime I try and explain what I do, they smile and nod, and they're happy for me, but they have no idea what I'm doing. So you mentioned earlier, Ampere being used in clouds and public clouds. Which clouds are you currently running on that you know of, and which chips are available if you know?
Yeah, I mean most of them have, I believe, have both of our chips, the Alta and Ultra Max. The only one main cloud that doesn't use our chips is the one I mentioned. Try not to mention them too much. They have enough press.
It's the cloud.
But
we don't have to call them out by name.
Yeah, and so I mean Google Cloud, I believe it's called Tau T2A. Wow, I butchered that. That's what that one's called on Microsoft Azure. You can see it as Ampere. For Oracle, it's called A1, but it also is listed under ARM64 and Ampere. What's the other one I'm missing? Anyways,
are you on like Alibaba Cloud or
Alibaba, that one? And then we go into the Chinese ones. We have Alibaba, ByteDance, Tencent, and I really mean I haven't found one that doesn't use our chips at the moment. That has the AR64, and then you can actually go out to Equinix and things like that and get the bare metal version of it. So you put whatever you want on it and rent that out by the amount of time you need. And then we partner. You can actually purchase a server for yourself. So we do a lot of on-prem. We have a lot of customers who are on-prem, and working with them to get the advantages and what it takes to move to AR64.
Can they buy those servers directly from you, or do you just supply the chips?
Yeah, it goes through a supplier.
Okay, so
which I also, it's also something new when you're dealing with these large servers. Each they'll customize it for you. It becomes a purchase order, and do it like that. I know from the IoT world, I've had to deal with some of the companies that do manufacture parts and stuff, and it's kind of weird, because you try to buy 3 and not 5,000 or whatever for those. But in the server world, you usually go through some type of manufacturer, somebody who will assemble it for you. I mean, actually, I'm not even sure if you really could get one of our chips by itself. Probably could. One of those resellers would sell it to you, but probably try to talk you out of it because they want to sell
somebody who has some sitting in a box. You don't happen to have a box of CPUs on your desk, do you?
No. Ours go all out, and if I had some, I'd have to be putting them into like a desktop form factor and sending them out to our community. We don't get them.
So that probably dates me too. I don't even know if you can just buy a CPU anymore. It used to be you could go into a computer store and you could buy an NEM2 or an AMD, just the CPU. And I don't think that's a thing anymore, is it?
I think you could if you tried. As an individual, no. I mean, it's just not going to happen because they don't want to deal with that small of a purchase order. If you knew somebody that would probably do it, and it's just not done. I mean, somebody's going to buy, at least 5, probably more like 10 to test them out. And then go into a much larger purchase, to fill out their data center. It's not go buy. Like my son just built his first computer, his first gaming computer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you can still do that. I mean, you can still go through the process. It's but it was all done through online ordering versus going down to a Radio Shack or Fry's Electronics, which unfortunately doesn't exist here anymore in the Bay Area. But
no
that
more
was
Radio
our
Shack either.
yeah. So, but yeah, it's the home hobbyist for building computers out has changed. I mean,
I'm glad to know that's still a thing, though. Like, I felt that was a dying art. That used to be, all of us, we kind of took pride in our rigs and how we put it together and the selection of all of the different components that go into it.
Yep, and he's quite proud of it, and that's kind of like I told him that if he wanted a new one, he'd have to go and build it, just because he also wanted the gaming and lights and LEDs and stuff. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun
to pick your own specific hardware.
Yeah, and it is easier because he got to follow a bunch of tutorials and got to read a whole bunch of articles and stuff about it. So he got to make some decisions which were a little bit better. The hilarious thing to me is that we bought a $150 keyboard. Because you need the speed of that as you're playing the game.
Wait, hang on, what does a $150 keyboard get you? I've heard of gaming mice, but keyboards?
Yeah, and it lights up. And then his first one that was only $25 came in. He broke it and wore it out. So they do have some things, and you can change it. He wanted it, so I let him buy it while also showing him that my Logitech $10 wireless keyboard I've had for 10 years and it still works. And he's like, wait, what?
Yeah, probably need more than just the WASD keys now
Yep.
for these games.
So yeah, no, I mean, and like I said, he had already spent so much time in it and learning it, and so it was great to have that experience for him. And he was able to do it all on his own. So awesome. Now great. I got to get him. Now I got to get him into cloud programming.
There you go. Well, he can get a really nice free account on Oracle on Ampere chips, can't he?
Yes, that is. OCI has a always free tier. It's quite amazing. It's 4 cores and 24 gigabytes of memory, and you pretty much can divide that up any way you want. I mean, they do offer you a 30-day subscription into all of their services and some of the other stuff, but the basic thing is always free, and it's a great way to get out there and learn how to what their offerings are and whatnot. But I've seen a ton of people doing building Minecraft servers and whatnot. So you can you can put like just 1 core or 2 core. And for my other son, we were running off. He had a home server for Minecraft, and but it was it was a Raspberry Pi. Was sitting in our network here at home, and so a whole lot of issues with that going down all the time. And then so set it up that way, and so now he has a lot more power, and can have more friends on that. So this is kind of cool, and it was really easy to do. We actually also have a tutorial, and I got to write it out. We did for a talk where we created a Mastodon server too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we use that for yes, if you became popular, we took it down because we never ran it like say for the community per se, because if we started doing stuff like that, people eventually will start complaining about performance.
Yeah, then you got to
within your server.
Too. You got to be an admin of this server, and that's a permanent job now. But no, the Minecraft thing on Oracle. Actually, my daughter's running her Minecraft server on one of those instances now, and she found this before I started working here at ARM. She came to me and is like asking me what I knew about Oracle Cloud. So, yeah, I think actually you shared with me a link to that tutorial on Twitter when I was asking about it.
Yeah, it is one of the neat things about of what Oracle has done with that free tier is it allows you to really build and build things and take them down, try something else, take it down, much like a Raspberry Pi does for things. You have this thing, at worst you can wipe it and start over, and it's really easy to do. So what it means is kids and university students really have that access to some really beefy servers and get this thing up, get their projects up and running. And it really has changed things. I mean, Oracle is kind of known as that back office database thing that will run forever and is probably powerful and all that, but it's not like it's a home hobbyist type thing. But now with OCI in this level, and then with this free tier for on the Ampere stuff, it's absolutely amazing. So they have now a whole new generation. As you said, your daughter's like, do you know what this company is? And you're like, yeah.
No, my kids are both Gen Z. So this is the anecdote I used when I was interviewing here. Like, my kids are both Gen Z, and if my daughter's excited about Oracle because of ARM chips, like, that is such a different from my generation's view of Oracle. So that's really cool that they've been able to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, I knew it as when I started my career, I had to have 3 databases running on my computer and test everything against all 3, and that was SQL Server, Oracle, and Sybase. And they were physically on our computers, and you ran them and tested it that way, not 3 separate instances somewhere out in the cloud. And one of them actually doesn't even exist anymore. It was purchased by somebody else. And that's the next generation. So it's also, I mean, one of the fun things about being at Ampere is, you get to help people really start doing new things that they weren't able to do in the past, and really get people thinking back about hardware. And so as this next generation is, my kids are roughly the same ages as yours. If they go into this field and go into, when they start doing university, they're going to be running on, servers and not on, laptop or I mean, I guess we ran servers because, we had the Spark stations at my university. So you could go in and go into the computer lab and run that.
But there was still a lot of, you developed everything locally. You had a production-like environment locally that you can't do now when there's like dozens of microservices involved.
Right. Exactly. And that's the fun thing and seeing this next generation come up. But yeah.
So changing gears a little bit, can you tell us a little bit about the Ampere community efforts that you have going on? I know we've heard about them in our office hours and in our Discord.
Yeah. So it really came out is how do we, as a company, really support the community that's out there? There is the ARM community, which is great, but it just tends to cover everything because there's so much ARM stuff, and we were really trying to focus in on just this one part of the server community. And so we started reaching out to a number of people who have posted on Twitter and done a lot of writing about it. And so started reaching out to them, trying to find out what they need, what they wanted from a community. And from that, first thing we did was build out a forum, just a simple question and answer forum where people can come in and talk to each other. And we set that up, and then also put that into the Discord that's on ARMS, the server one, and kind of said, hey, this is what we're trying to do. When we started kind of publicizing this, what was amazing to me is how many people were absolutely excited about it, because they had all been kind of talking in their own ecosystem, or just being drowned out, or no one cared what the chip was or things like that. And they're like, no, this is better, and this is why, and this is coming. And so we were able to help kind of group those people together and kind of expand it out. And so that's what's been a lot of fun with this. So it's a free form thing. we try to plug anybody and everybody, especially, you know, our members and where they're speaking, what they're talking about, what interests them. Right now, there's a big kind of discussion on how to get Windows to truly run on ARM64. I mean, yes, there is the Windows box that's out there, but that was, you know, Microsoft did it, built it. You kind of have to have some connections to get one. But with the Ampere dev kit and developer platforms, you know, this is going to be a much more generic type solution for it. So there's a little bit more of jumping through hoops to get it to work the first time. But that will completely change. I mean, because right now, if you ran Linux, no problem. And it, depending on your view for that. And so anyways, that's kind of one of the big conversations that are going on, plus people talking about, you know, what events they're going to, and articles and you know, videos that they've seen, and, you know, just people posting links into that and connecting. So that's kind of what it's for.
What do we at ARM do to help you with your community effort?
What you guys have been doing is just, you know, letting us talk as much as we can. You know, it's repeating this over and over that you know, these things exist, and that's kind of my probably job for the next year or so, is just getting out there and talk that you know, these things exist, and put this into make this as a consideration, and then, you know, help us really talk about, you know, what are the power, and then the next thing is, once you know about it, is, well, why do I want to change? And a lot of that has to do with first of all, you're getting the performance, and many times you're actually outperforming on it, you know, because the packages and stuff that you're downloading and using, or open source projects, they're now being built natively on ARM chips, usually ours, you know, or, you know, people actually, you know, have been building them on their MacBooks. So therefore, you know, you still have that native build, and then with that, you just get so much more performance. And so that's kind of the first thing we're doing. And then the next thing is, why should I change? And that really becomes into the efficiency of these chips.
And you talked a little bit about that in the last office hours earlier.
Yeah.
And you actually had some figures you shared about like power savings, right?
Yeah, it really has to do with how the architecture is done. Yeah, because I was last week I was in your neck of the woods in Raleigh, talking at DevOps Days, and did a short one of the 5-minute Ignite talks about this. And what it is that you know, the Ampere chips are about 3 times as efficient than an x86 chip, especially the Intel ones. The AMD, I think it's like 2.7 times as efficient. And it kind of goes back to this idea that you know, we all have heard about data centers and how much energy they're using. And, you know, and you can even go on to GCP and you can choose which one has the least amount of carbon. You know, is it solar powered? Is it geothermal? Which these are all great. The problem, though, is still is, no matter what, they suck up so much energy, and they're taking them off. These data centers are taking energy from the grid. I mean, none of them can be truly self-sustaining. They might produce most of their power, which once again is awesome, but you need to be able to build housing. And there's places like West London that literally right now, they're not building new housing for until 2035, because the data centers around it that were built in that area have taken up all the infrastructure. So it's going to take them, what is that now? It's still 12 years before, you know, a city that desperately needs housing can do it. And it's just amazing of how much energy. But when you start doing the numbers that we were going through, was, you know, that 3 times as much energy. And what that means is like, we have an example of trying to do 1.3 million requests per second. So a large workload. And I believe that takes our servers, you need 17 servers to run this, CPUs. And then for that, to do that same thing on a comparable Intel processor is like 55. And I think AMD it was 44. So that's still better than the Intel. But what that then means is, so that's a lot less energy that you need just because powering those things. But also, as you know, with those 55 servers, they produce so much heat. And so you can't even put them in the rack next to each other. And even if you could, the rack itself can't handle that much electricity going through it. It wasn't set up for that. It's an insane amount of power going through it. And these are like 40 kilowatts.
With your chips?
I'm sorry?
How does cooling work with your chips? Like,
it just produces less heat because there's less electricity going through it. And that's it. It's really that simple. The way I kind of talk about this is, you know, so we need more data centers, right? But these things are producing more heat. But there is, you know, how is this solved? Does somebody else solve this? And it's mobile devices and IoT, where, you know, we all have one of these. That's kind of funny. It's blurred out. But, you know, we have these things all in our pockets. We want them to last a long time, be super powerful. I mean, oh my God, these things are insane of how fast they are. So how do you do that? Well, you change the architecture. They're all ARM chips, or some version like that. And they were built for that speed, built for that power consumption. And so if you scale this up and use its big brother, you know, in the server world, you're talking using, you know, under most loads, it's under 300 watts versus, you know, 700 or so for Intel. And it's just amazing how much more you can get in there for physical space because it's just simply no heat. And I keep seeing, like, right now, another open source project or thing is going on, and that's the OCP. And they have a huge set of tracks around environmental and what's the future of data centers. And one of the big things they're going for right now is immersion cooling, and which is really cool. I mean, this is where you physically are putting stuff in there, or putting the server racks in some type of liquid that can boil, which is great. Except now you have boiling.
That's a lot more complex, though.
So, yeah,
less power coming in, less power going to cooling. Like, that's exactly a win-win right there.
Right, and you don't have to build as much infrastructure.
So I hear that Robert Wolff is available. He just got back to, I guess, his hotel room over there in Amsterdam. Like I said, I think at the start of this, if it went through before things cut out, Robert is over at KubeCon EU this week. So, Robert, are you there?
I'm sorry.
Oh, there you are.
Oh my God, Michael, how are you?
I'm doing better than you, from what I hear.
Yeah.
How did the beginning of the episode go? And Aaron, did Michael do okay? Was he struggling?
Oh, he did awesome.
Don't tell him about how my connection got dropped and you had to, like, run the show yourself for a minute.
You ran the show, Aaron.
Well, I mean, I sat here and smiled. Your audience is probably a little disappointed. You know, I'm not a better looking guy, but
oh my goodness. Okay, so yes,
it's been fun trying to keep ourselves on topic. You know, because Michael and I can babble on forever.
We can ramble on for a while. Yeah, we've been doing that for years.
How rare of a situation is this? In that, number one, I was on travel, and then number two, Gabe was on travel, and this is the first time Michael has literally had to do this, number one. And then number two is that I was supposed to be here, but believe it or not, in all of this madness, my suitcase got lost during the travel. And at this exact freaking moment, they decided to call me, right? So they decided to call me about 15 minutes, 30 minutes before the show, and they found all these electronics. The customs had to ask me about every single thing. And I'm like,
no.
it's okay. I have plenty of time. Don't even worry about it. Next thing you know, I completely forget. I forgot that the show is going on. I'm answering these questions, and then I look at my watch, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm late. And then next thing you know, I'm screwed. This is screwed. But yeah, anyways, Michael, Aaron, thank you so much. Thank you so much for handling this. We have some comments that came in. He says, "Oh, hey, there's Robert. Michael is doing awesome. That's great.
Thank you, Dale.
Yeah, thanks, Dale. But yeah, so I really appreciate that. This is great. And I did show up a minute before, a few minutes ago, and I was popping up some of these links and doing some stuff. But I'll help you guys close this out when we get to that time. KubeCon. I'm going to KubeCon tomorrow. And I look forward to seeing. Do you know if Ampere has any presence there, Aaron?
I believe we do. It's going to be a little bit smaller. We were at OC. We were doing a number of keynotes with OCP with LF, and I think they've co-hosted those at the same event. Because that's the funny thing. KubeCon is actually owned or run by LF.
Yeah, the Linux Foundation.
It's just basically as big as the rest of LF.
Yeah. Like anybody who knows the way LF runs, there are all these like little independent foundations within the overall LF.
You used to work for LF, right, Michael?
Yeah, Aaron and I worked together at LF Edge for a year and a half.
Yep, and then I took over his job when he left.
Oh, there you go.
So yep.
Very cool. Yeah. So I will look for the Ampere booth if you have one. Maybe I'll take a selfie there and share it in Discord. I did hear you all talking about the community effort that Ampere has been going or undertaking. So I'm curious to kind of evolve that question a little bit and ask, maybe actually Michael already asked this, but how has ARM kind of helped this community effort, or how can ARM help it moving forward? I think you did answer that already, huh?
Yeah, he did, and it's really kind of continuing what you're doing is helping us plug it. Plugging that it exists is probably the first thing right now is awareness, and that's and just encouraging that community to grow. I mean, one of the things I wanted to plug real quick is that for open source is that our community has gotten a track for what's called FOSSI. This is Free and Open Software Summit, Free and Open Software Yearly. And this is done by the Software Freedom Conservatory out of it's going to be in Portland, and their model is FOSSDEM. And so it's going to be very much that. So it's not an Ampere per se event or something like that. It's going to be our community, and we have at least a one-day track, and it's just starting. So if people are interested, you can go to FOSSY, FOSSY.us, I believe is the URL. But it's like I said, it's the Software Freedom Conservatory or Conservancy who's actually putting on, and this is the first one that's happening. So we're quite excited about that, and I'm also scared to death of it because it means that I have to run it and actually plan it and scale it out. So next week we'll be asking for volunteers to help us out from the community. And if anybody out there wants to speak, the CFPs have not quite gone out. They're hoping by tomorrow. So if you have a talk, please let us know. And they also did ask us to kind of expand it a little bit to kind of desktops and things like that. So we want to have a wide range of topics from like how open source projects are using ARM, what issues, best practices, things like that. And we'd also like to have a couple see if we can get some talks on like what does ARM architecture, the AH64 architecture mean, and versus an x86 and things like that. So hopefully we'll have one or two high level chip classes or talks like that. It's so it's back to whatever you took back in university. We're not going to do deep dives into what at both of our companies, we probably have you or like us where we have a ton of fellows who could go into deep dives on how the stuff is done. But if we kept it at high level, we'll have enough people who are fascinated, but we won't overwhelm them. Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Aaron, if there's an opportunity or something that you think ARM might be able to contribute here in terms of a speakership or presence, talk with myself, talk with Michael, because we might be able to find a speaker who can go there, or at least apply to see if if it's applicable to the conference and if it will benefit the attendees and the like, right? So keep us posted on that.
Yeah, and also we're also trying to do the thing of if like you guys send somebody either an ARM employee or from the community, there's going to be a whole bunch of other talks, and they would probably all be very interested into having that second talk. Okay, wait, I got my HR or my recruiting would not allow me. Yeah, we actually do our hiring. So yeah, just go to amperecomputing.com. Yeah, sorry, it flashes up and I'm like, okay, yeah. My company would kill me if I didn't answer that. Yeah, we're actually hiring. So that's great as we're expanding and ramping up production more and more. So yeah, it's amperecomputing.com. And then, we have our main 3 offices are in the US are in Santa Clara and some in truly in Silicon Valley, and then Portland, and then Raleigh, North Carolina, Portland, Oregon, I guess I should say. But for the event, that's what I'm trying to see if we can get people, like say somebody's there, for example, they're going to talk about Kafka, or what is open, what's next in the open JDK or something, like that, something you would see much more of an open source thing, and then reach out to them and see if they want to kind of talk about how they're doing this on Ampere chips or ARM64. Yeah, it's not an Ampere event. So we will hopefully also be able to get some people from that other company, that large Seattle company, the bookstore retailer. Yeah. No. Yeah, and it really is. And we definitely have no problem promoting Graviton and that it is doing, it's built on the ARM64, AH64 chip, because that is part of this. We're part of trying to just grow this awareness. And we think this will be just a great opportunity to do it. So please, fossey.us for everybody out there.
One more time.
Sorry, that was my plug. Yeah.
Cool.
So,
well,
and that's
Michael, this is your show today. I'm not. I showed up at the last minute. I'm here just kind of.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good, man.
So this is your show. You've killed it so far. So please, I don't want to close this out. This is up to you. Whatever you want to do next.
Aaron, that's your shameless plug. Go to fossey.us. Go attend the event. Go help him make his track super successful.
Yeah. And to answer Kevin's question, no, we do have a lot of remote positions too. So it depends on the position. I don't think that any that are absolutely mandated to be at one of those offices, but we also have offices in Vietnam and Taiwan, and I'm blanking on a couple other places. Oh, Poland, we do, and we also have a couple. I mean, my boss is out of Boston. There's like 5 people there, so we don't have an office. And his boss is in the Phoenix area. So, so we do have a lot of remote work. And as you can kind of tell from the blurred out background, I'm actually in my house in the Bay Area. So I go into the office twice a week. So
you're at your $10 million house in the Bay Area?
The sad part is honestly, it is worth over $1 million, and I rent it, and I'm kind of that's a sore spot here.
Crazy to me.
God. Yeah, and I grew up here, so I should be used to it, but yeah, seeing the housing in my area that's well over $1 million, you're like, yeah, I'm not buying a house. We rent. Yeah, right. and we definitely do remote. You'll just have to go there for that. to the website and check. And that will be part of your recruiting process. Yeah, I mean, we're not going to lie to you or trick you somehow. No, I mean, right from you'll be able to find. A lot of them are well, anyways, like most places, it's tied to an office somewhere, but it can be remote. But it depends. And
for my
shameless,
I'm gonna say sorry, go ahead and finish.
No, go ahead. I mean, I was just the other is back on the community stuff. Yeah, we love working with you guys and the support that we get from you. It works. We're still so small on the server side of this that it really is trying to get as many people together and build out this community, build out this awareness. Like I said, I was at a DevOps days and talked about environmental part, and the response I got was absolutely amazing. I mean, I had people coming up and talking to me, like, oh, thank you so much. I've never thought of it this way. I only think of getting the latest server or a little bit of efficiency, but seeing how much more efficient ARM servers are, so the Ampere servers are, that now I have something to take to my boss, and it's great because we've pushed enough, and from an environmental part that AMD is really even now talking about it. They're saying over the next decade they're gonna do this because that's how long sometimes chips take, but we need it faster than that. We need it today, but at least they're talking, which is great.
Yeah.
As you can tell, my passions: community, hardware, and environment. So and what I'll sit here and talk about.
So in addition to the Ampere community, you can also find Aaron in our community Discord.
Mm-hmm.
He's there all the time. I'm there. Robert's there. You can always find us to ask questions or get support there in our Discord. We love to have you on and chat. So that's my shameless plug. Robert, do you have anything to plug?
I don't. I want to plug the things that you plugged, as well as the things that Aaron plugged. Aaron has been just an amazing part of the ARM community. I have to say, since we crossed paths, I want to say fairly recently over Discord, and he has started to join us on the Discord office hours, which we host every at 9 a.m. Pacific in the Discord server. And then the moment I heard about his new Ampere community that they have going on, I went over there, and without exaggerating, actually, you have some very, very big names already participating in that community. So if you do, or if you have found this episode to be interesting, I'm going to put it here one more time. Head on over to community.amperecomputing.com, and you are going to be impressed by the people who are participating in these forums over there. And if you have anything going on that you need some help with, and or just want to get some experience with, I mean, you're in no better crowd than the folks who are in that community over there. So, Aaron, thank you for bringing that to us, and thank you for allowing us to participate in this, because it's been a genuine honor, and it's been awesome. So yeah, that's my plug. There you go.
Yeah, awesome. and please go in there and ask questions or show off what you've done and what you've built or things like that. Everybody there, my favorites still are people taking Raspberry Pis and trying to make some type of 100 node server out of them, which is not practical, but from energy and all that, but it's just so much fun, and that's who the people are. So even if you have something about what you're working on, where you're speaking, or things, or who you want to speak, I mean, because that's the other thing, is the same thing with you guys. If you have suggestions for that, put them in our community, put them here with ARM. We're always looking for speakers, and I'm assuming you guys are too. I mean, I'm not taking over your channel here. Right. And so if you have people out there, let us know, both groups, and we'll go see what we can do.
I do have one question. Who is the infamous dog on your profile picture?
Infamous? That is Blue. That is my mini Australian Shepherd. I had a very old headshot that I needed to update, and the one I took for my badge at work, what I was whited out because I took it on a bad background. I'm a software engineer. I don't do marketing.
We're not that photogenic.
And I found that picture and went, oh, this is much better. So,
it's definitely been. I've noticed it's on Discord, and then now I just went back over to the community site, and there it is on the community site as well. Yeah. So you seem to have it's moved across now.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because now I feel like I can't change it.
It's you.
No.
Yeah.
Nobody will recognize you
otherwise. The old guy? Yeah. It allows you to put whatever you want onto me. I'm your blank canvas.
This is a good question, though, here. I guess maybe, sure. Michael, closing it up on this, because I guess we have hit 5 over the hour. Does Ampere have their own Discord server?
No, we don't. And it has more to do with trying to get the data out and to help out. So Discord, along with Slack, is kind of almost near as impossible to get kind of the community out, the information out of it. So at the moment we don't. Probably as we do more public, where the general public will need to ask us questions, because they might physically own a server, or 1 or 2 will do it. But at this moment, we just don't have the staff to maintain it and keep it going. What you guys have done with
Michael may have a solution to help you with some of getting some of the data out. But yeah, maybe you guys could take that offline.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you, Aaron, so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you. I couldn't imagine a better guest for my first time hosting Innovation Coffee. And
well, thank you
so much for not bailing on me when things went wrong in the first few minutes. I appreciate that.
Absolutely not. I mean, we'd love to work with you and get you guys somebody else. Maybe we can talk chips or something and get one of our principal engineers to talk going forward, or if you guys are going to an event and you want to plug something for that we're going to, we can set you up with somebody else. But yeah, my pleasure. I've actually loved it.
Awesome.
So, right, thanks. And thanks to everybody who was watching in the audience. And again, thank you for putting up with the technical difficulties at the start. We're always glad to have you watching us. And again, join us on Discord after this. We'd love to continue that conversation there.
All right.
Great.
Yeah, and thank you so much.
Thank you so
much for the questions.
Closing thoughts?
All
have
good.
Fun.
Robert,
have fun
why don't you wrap us up then?
All right, I'm gonna wrap it up. All right. So hey, everyone, thank you. Like Michael said, we love it. We love it that you're all here. You spent that hour with us. Don't forget to smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the ARM Software Developer YouTube channel. Make sure you check us out on Discord. Make sure you go check out all of the stuff that Aaron was talking about in terms of the Ampere community. And of course, anything that was mentioned during this live stream, we will make sure to include it as a link, URL, and or.
Oh, well,
we almost made it through. What are we doing?
Did I cut out? Oh no, did I cut out? How far did I get?
You're back.
Most of it. It was 2 seconds.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure to get all those URLs inside of the YouTube description. And thank you so much. I'm gonna hit the outro button now. All right, Michael.
All right, go for it.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Yeah. Thank you so much.